What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Should have liked and sub, and let's get into this. Has Marvel learned its lesson? Is it starting to course correct? Sort of, kind of. Is the timeline correcting itself? I asked Gary from Nerdrotic that very question. Kinda. So, and all of this falls in line with what I'd heard from other things. And then when I just saw this title, and what is this? It's this title right here. Rumor Marvel Studios cleaned house and fired activist producers. I was like, oh, I've heard that before. That's something that Chris Gore has said many a time on stream. And so like I've heard this narrative before, and then it finds, oh, this is actually where setting this article up to go over it. It's like, this is actually where it comes from. So Chris was on the Drinker open bar, and in that he had a segment where I've heard him say this before in different verbiage, on a film thread. If you're not watching Versus every Monday, check that out. But in contrast, Kevin Feige recognizes, actually, let me start here. So he was on open bar and he was talking about how Star Wars Disney is not going to course correct, that Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger on them over there, that's pretty dead set on destroying everything. Kevin Feige, even though I still think he's a charlatan and gets credit for things he shouldn't and doesn't get credit for things he should, i.e. blame for things, and that's what Chris here starts talking about. Kevin Feige recognizes basically, he said that we tried it and it didn't work, i.e. we tried the DEI, we tried making all the main characters female and lame and gay and all the things. We tried it, it didn't work. And he's talking about phase 4. That's famously where 2023 Marvel, every single thing they released lost money, with the exceptions of Guardians 3, and that was a holdover, right? And No Way Home is a Sony production. So all of the Marvel stuff failed for the most part, which thankfully has been just roasted in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. So they know. And even though she apologized, Jamie Lee Curtis saying, what phase is Marvel in? Bad. So continuing, this is Kevin Feige recognizing that it didn't work. No Kang, none of these side characters that don't have the legacy of classic characters. And if Deadpool and Wolverine proves anything, you've heard that phrase, male and pale is stale. That was spoken aloud across studios. But if you look at box office this year's, and shout out as of the recording of this video, Deadpool and Wolverine is going to hit 700 million worldwide. So if you look at the box office this year, I would say male and pale is money. And that's the phrase I think people should adopt. Yeah, Chris is not wrong. He also said, additionally, they fired people that don't know the comics. For the longest time, we heard that Disney Marvel was actively not hiring anyone that actually knew the lore or the comics. Now, they said it was so that people would have a fresh take, but really it was so that they wouldn't know and love the material and call Disney when they tried to subvert it and change it for modern politics, modern ideology, and ESG funding for doing those previous two. Shout out to Bo DeMeo for X-Men 97, who ignored all that to, unfortunately, his detriment and been replaced now. But that's what happens. If you are doing these things, you cannot let the DEI take it over. It has to be writing first. And in order to do that, you have to know and love the property, i.e. the shit it's based on, the comics. So they fired the people that don't know the comics. And I would say this all started real quick with the Victoria Alonso, the one that was saying that the X-men should be the X-women or X-people or whatever. And the Nemor is a child without love. And she was famously the one that they blamed all the horrible CGI on because she was in charge of all that. But I would argue that her firing was the start of the course correction. And then they expanded that to writers and producers. So he says, and this is what we've said, even if they acknowledge that there's a change, this is a big ship that now has to very slowly turn. And there's already things like Thunderbolts and Ironheart and other things that they can't get rid of. So we won't see the course correction, as Chris here says. It's going to be a sea change that will take years. Realize now that if we get Secret Wars in 2027, we may not even see the new MCU that they're resetting and the actual X-Men in the prime timeline till the 2030s. So, sea change is going to take years. That's why they're announcing this now. They know they screwed up and failed, but look at what's coming. So you're going to get 2 bad movies and 2 bad TV shows. And he's talking about Agatha All Along and Ironheart as far as the bad TV shows. And Captain America, who's been reshot a billion times, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts, that's also been reshot. Both of those are going to need to be almost billion-dollar films to fucking even break even. So we're going to have to skate over those. And then maybe, like he says, maybe a good Fantastic Four. And even then, you better hope it's a banger. And that Doomsday and Secret Wars is insane because it's so many ifs and buts and candies and nuts. Kevin Feige recognizes basically that this is the same thing going on. And yes, this is also where we start just talking about the things that have been canceled. Obviously, Bob Iger has said a billion times that they're going to try and course correct and do quality over quantity. Going back to just show that maybe this has been in work a little bit longer than you think. But I mean, when you see what they've gone through, when you see what they've released. So now, like I said, it really does depend on, because Deadpool and Wolverine is just a holdover also. And it's people saying goodbye to the 20th Century Fox superhero movies. So yeah, boy, you better hope Brave New World doesn't eat away at the profits and that Thunderbolts, I think the most you can hope for is they're just non-offensive. But as far as do I actually think that Marvel's trying to course correct? I do. Far more than you're going to see Kathleen Kennedy in Star Wars. That is a far more ideologically. You will never see them say, well, we tried and it didn't work, and then go back to like making a Luke Skywalker series. And, holy shit, I hope we do. I hope she does get pressured into that. Otherwise, yeah. I think it might be possible to be ever so slightly hopeful for the future. And as for the Robert Downey Jr. being Doom, if he's a variant, if there's an actual Doom and he's just a placeholder to be Iron Man, I don't know. But it was sure a more hopeful casting than we could have gotten. And I think you know what I mean by that. So let me know what you think of all this. Make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you.
Well, bye.